welcome to a brand new episode of Good News Today. I am Simi Pasha. This is our special initiative where we showcase positive stories because we believe news needn't always be bad. First up, the incredible story of an 11-year-old boy who's managed to become a news reader with a regional TV channel in Tamil Nadu. What's even more special about this story is that Ramanujan is the first visually challenged news anchor from the region, and he's managed to realize his dream through sheer hard work and determination.
The 11-year-old was born visually challenged. His illiterate parents did not see a future of Ramanujam until someone told them that there was a school for visually challenged. Today, they are proud parents. Their dream of seeing their son make a name for himself has come true. Ramanujam's parents, who watched their son's first ever news presentation live, were overcome by emotion.
நியூஸுக்கு இவன் நல்லா பண்ணுறானுங்க சார், இவனை வேணால் எடுத்துக்கிறேன்னு சொன்னாங்க. 6 மாதமாக இப்போ இவனுக்கு ட்ரைனிங் கொடுத்துருப்பாங்க போல தெரியுது. நல்லா பண்ணியிருக்கிறான். அது முதல்ல சொந்தக்காரங்கெல்லாம் பேசினாங்க, இவனுக்கு போய் 2 லட்ச ரூபா செலவு பண்ணிக்கிட்டு தோட்டத்தை விட்டுட்டு விவசாயம் பார்க்காம அங்கே போய் இருக்கிறேன்னு சொன்னாங்க. இன்றைக்கி சொன்ன சொந்த பந்தங்கள்லாம் பார்த்த உடனே இந்த பையனுக்காக எங்கே வேணாலும் போகலாம் அப்படின்னு சொல்கிறாங்க. எங்களுக்கு ரொம்ப சந்தோஷமாக இருக்குது.
Ramanujam is a student of class 5 from government school at Olayampalayam. He has never let his disability get in the way of his determination, although his challenges are greater than most.
என்னோட பெற்றோர்கள் நான் விவசாயம் எல்லாம் பண்ணுறாங்க, நாங்கள்லாம் விவசாயம் பண்ணுறோம். இந்த நியூஸ் வாசிக்க வராதுக்கு முன்னாடி வீட்டிலலாம் ஸ்கூலுக்கே சேராதுக்கு முன்னாடி ஸ்கூலே இல்லை, ஒரு மாதிரி ரொம்ப வீட்லேயே சும்மா இருந்தேன். அப்புறம் ஸ்கூலுக்கு வந்தேன், அப்புறம் எல்லாம் படித்தேன். நியூஸ் வாசித்ததுக்கு பிறகு ரொம்ப சந்தோஷமாக இருக்குது. எல்லாம் எனக்கு பாராட்டு கொடுத்து சும்மா ரொம்ப சந்தோஷமாக என்னை கொண்டு போனாங்க. இப்போ நான் ரொம்ப சந்தோஷமாக இருக்கேன், எப்பவும் இருக்காத விட.
According to Lotus News, which is known for inspiring individuals, the main purpose of introducing Ramanujam was to break the stereotype of a news anchor. The channel was the first to introduce a transgender as a news anchor.
நியூஸ் ஆங்கராக முதலாக உலகத்திலே நாங்கள் கொண்டு வந்திருக்கிறோம். இது தமிழகத்தில் மட்டுமல்லாமல் உலக தொலைக்காட்சியினுடைய பார்வையில் ஒரு மாற்று பார்வையாக இது எடுக்கப்பட்டிருக்கிறது. அகக்கண் என்ற முறையிலே இந்த செய்தி வாசிப்பாளரை கொடுத்திருக்கிறோம். இதன் மூலமாக கண்தானங்கள் நடைபெற வேண்டும்.
At present, Ramanujam is doing weekly news. He will anchor daily bulletins soon. With bureau inputs, headlines today.
Several cities are nowadays starting cab services with women drivers to ensure the safety of women on our roads. But what about other modes of public transport? Here's the story of Sarita, the first woman driver employed by the Delhi Transport Corporation.
Vankadarat Sarita is a trained public transport driver. She's the first woman driver of Delhi Transport Corporation. Sarita was working as a private chauffeur in South Delhi when she was hired by the DTC.
दिल्ली के अंदर डीटीसी में अभी जितने ड्राइवर थे वो अभी तक पुरुष हुआ करते थे. आज पहली बार दिल्ली में वी सरिता ने इस चैलेंज को स्वीकार करते हुए पहलकदमी की कि हम डीटीसी के बस ड्राइवर बनने के लिए, और आज दिल्ली सरकार ने परिवहन विभाग ने उसे नियुक्ति पत्र आज सौंप दिया है. और आज के बाद से दिल्ली डीटीसी के अंदर एक महिला ड्राइवर एक नए अध्याय के साथ जुड़ी है.
30-year-old Sarita is currently posted at Sarojini Nagar depot on daytime duty. She needed public service vehicle badge before she was inducted in the service. Sarita had heavy vehicle driving license issued by RTA Nalgonda. Once selected, she had gone through 4-week-long job training at DTC training school and medical fitness test before she was put on a duty roster.
मैं रखूँगी कि मेरे साथ मेरी महिला पैसेंजर ही रहेंगी. उनके लिए मैं सुविधा की जैसे स्टैंड पे उनको बैठाऊंगी, स्टैंड पे उनको उतारूंगी और रेड लाइट नहीं क्रॉस करूंगी. और एक कोई भी हमें दुर्घटना हो, कोई भी एक कुछ भी हो तो हमें सीसी कैमरा लगा हुआ है. हमारा एक पुलिस हेल्पलाइन भी है, हमें सारे सुविधा दिया गया है.
The capital has seen women driving public vehicles like autos, cabs, but a public transport bus is the first.
Now to another incredible story of a physically challenged person who's taken on the responsibility of finding and clearing snow-covered roads on the Srinagar-Kargil highway. Thanks to Tula Khan, drivers are able to drive through smoothly on that difficult terrain. Take a look.
Tula Khan has been doing this for quite some time now. In fact, he has earned fame from doing this. Tula Khan is Border Roads Organization's only hope to find roads in place where roads are difficult to trace on this rocky snow-capped mountain range. He does it effortlessly.
जनाब इसके बारे में हम ऐसे बता सकते हैं कि जब ये आगे निकलता है कि इसका अल्टरनेट जो है रोड हो जाता है, मतलब रोड दिखाता है ये, उसके पीछे पीछे हम लोग आता है, जो ये इशारा सुनता है और बोल नहीं पाता है, खाली इसको इशारा करना है, इशारा करके ये सब कुछ मतलब करता है। उसके बाद ये मतलब आगे आगे चलता है, जैसे ये आगे चलेगा ट्रेस कार्ड लेकर चलता है, तो उसके मुताबिक हम लोग भी इसके पीछे पीछे आ जाता है।
Tula Khan is physically challenged, he can't hear or speak, but his knowledge of this terrain and his will to find a way where none dares has made him only hope for his colleagues responsible for this stretch of Srinagar-Kargil highway. With Ashraf Wani, Bureau Report, Headlines Today.
Here's the story of a web portal that's helping transgenders connect with job providers across the country. Now, the Supreme Court has recognized members of the community as a third gender, but when it comes to employment, they're faced with age-old biases. Here's how the web portal is making a difference to their lives.
Traditionally, the best networking in the entire subcontinent was done by those who society shunned and feared in the normal routine of social life. Yet, the transgender community in India are a fixture when it comes to social occasions like births and marriages. One of the very few earning opportunities for people of the community. Till recently, they were not allowed an official gender identity, but the Supreme Court laid that to rest. Other decrees by the courts opened up avenues of employment in government and government-administered institutions. But where were the opportunities? How would a transgender person look for a job? In what is being seen as a first, there is now a portal that hunts jobs for transgenders as well.
In today's world, it's not about the sex or gender. It's about people who have talent, people who have the zeal to work. So what we wanted to say is there are a lot of companies also who want to hire transgenders. So we thought we will be the first company to introduce this concept along with other people, like it can be a housewife, it can be a retired, it can be a student, it can be an employed. So anybody, these guys, the transgenders are also equal to them. So we thought we'll give a platform for them to apply for jobs and also for the companies to get these sort of people.
The portal, taking a cue from the unique network of the transgender community, has appointed transgender agents across cities to help job seekers from the community. With transgender agents also being appointed in areas where applicants may not have access to the web, this private initiative is being seen as the harbinger of ultimate equality in society.
It's irrelevant of your caste, class, gender, sexuality, ethnicity, etc. They're just talking about human beings. If a person, you're illiterate, they are there to take up the challenge or the determination to skill up that person, to take up that, to build the capacity to talk about mainstreaming employment opportunities. And as you were quoting about transgender communities, we are completely neglected by all the sections. I think in that way, this group has really come forward to work with sexual minorities. I think it's very heartily welcoming. It's a warm welcoming move for the entire country.
The Supreme Court recognized transgenders or hijras as the third gender in an epic verdict. This portal is but another step forward in the right direction. From Bangalore, Pratibha Raman for Headlines Today.
Do you know that sports stadiums are real power guzzlers, especially when matches are being played after dark? The good news is that Bangalore's Chinnaswamy Stadium has set up a rooftop solar power plant, making it the first cricket stadium in the world to go green.
Sports stadiums around the world have become energy-guzzling monoliths that are a must-have necessity when games need to be played after the sunset. But the good news is that India is leading the way in showing how the necessity can still be had with cleaner sources of energy. Bengaluru's Chinnaswamy Cricket Stadium is the first cricket venue in the world to have a rooftop solar power plant. The power generated here is expected to provide for a significant percentage of the stadium's total energy requirement, and so not only will the Chinnaswamy Stadium have a brightly lit pitch in the centre, it will also save energy and reduce carbon emission in the environment in the process.
We are extremely happy to have launched this solar concept at Chinnaswamy Stadium. As you rightly said, this is the first time a cricket stadium across the globe to generate such amount of solar energy. So in the Karnataka State Cricket Association, we have installed 400 kVA solar unit, which generates about 6 lakh units, which will in turn, which we will get about 40% of our power will be met from the unit from the solar generator.
At the rate of about 10 rupees per unit excess, power generated will be sent into the power grid. Approved, commissioned and installed in less than 50 days, this solar plant is expected to generate additional revenue for the Karnataka State Cricket Association. Money that will go into promoting the sport in the state.
We have spent about 3.82 crores net amount for the entire project of solar energy.
And then now we can say that all the matches in Chinnaswamy Stadium will be played under solar generated power? How?
See, as I rightly told you, the entire power is getting into a grid. It's going to get accumulated and we are on a net metering system. From 15th, we are inaugurating the solar of Power Minister, Government of Karnataka, D.K. Shivakumar is going to inaugurate it. Since then, my entire unit comes to my controlling unit to the extent of 6 lakh units. Definitely 40% of my requirement of Chinnaswamy Stadium will be generated by my solar power plant.
India relies on coal for 3/5 of its energy needs, while solar power accounts for less than 1%. The rapidly falling cost of solar power has ignited interest in its potential to make India one of the world's largest renewable energy markets by the next decade. Let's hope that other venues around the world are able to replicate the Chinnaswamy model in promoting clean energy.
The Gujarat government wants to find out the exact number of big cats in the state, and for that purpose has decided to carry out a census of lions, tigers and leopards. Now ordinarily this is an exercise which is considered to be too unsafe for women because forest officials are required to stay inside jungles for days and months on end. But the state government has decided to make the process more inclusive by roping in young women. Take a look.
Experts have to establish the new numbers of lion population in Gir forest. The challenge can only be surmounted with the help of state-of-the-art equipment.
GPS से हम लाइन सेंसस में सिंह की गिनती में उसकी लोकेशन ट्रेस करने में मदद लेते हैं. जब भी हम किसी फील्ड पे लाइन को देखते हैं तो उसकी लोकेशन इसकी सैटेलाइट व्यू में जाके वो हम नॉर्थ और ईस्ट लैट लॉन्ग नोट करते हैं और उसका एलिवेशन नोट करते हैं. इससे हमें पता चलता है कि लाइन की एग्जैक्ट लोकेशन कहाँ है और फिर उसका मूवमेंट ट्रेस करा जा सकता है.
But this is not all. These women officials were trained for months for this census. They were prepared to do it as flawlessly as possible. When the time came, they were the foot soldiers to enumerate Asiatic lions in what they call a total block counting method, which is based on direct sighting. Indirect evidence, such as pug marks, will not be considered.
इसके लिए हम लोगों ने GIS, GPS, कैमरा ट्रैप्स और साथ ही साथ में जो एक डिजिटल कैमरास हैं, ये सारी चीज़ों को उपयोग करने में हम लोग को आएगा. कितने ग्रुप्स हैं, ग्रुप का साइज क्या है, स्ट्रक्चर कैसा है, कंपोजिशन कैसा है, कितने मेटा पॉपुलेशंस में फैले हुए हैं.
The Gir covers an area of 22,000 square kilometers, almost double the area covered in 2010, when the lion population was pegged at 411. Each of the 2,200 enumerators will be handling around 1,000 kilometers each.
जैसे जैसे जो इनकी एक पॉपुलेशन की वृद्धि हो रही है, टेरिटोरियल होने के कारण जो इनकी लैंड की जो रिक्वायरमेंट्स हैं वो बढ़ता जा रहा है। और आज मैं खुशी के साथ कह सकता हूँ कि जो कहते हैं ना कि सौराष्ट्र ये लैंड ऑफ लायंस है, तो ये कहीं न कहीं इनकी विस्तार जो है ना बहुत ही सुचारू रूप से जो है ना ये रिक्लेम कर रहे हैं अपने खोया हुआ विस्तार को। जी।
Beyond the 1,400 square kilometer area of Gir Sanctuary, the count covers 8 districts of the Saurashtra region. Besides, 625 points for sighting lions have been identified through a 9-month research. And in the end will come the final result of the Asiatic lion population, which by all indications are on an emphatic rise.
Post the Himalayan tragedy that left thousands dead in Nepal, there's increasing awareness in India as well to monitor seismic activity. The good news is that the Geological Survey of India is now planning to set up centers from Agartala in the far east to Nagpur in the west that will provide earthquake-related information in real time. Take a look.
India is all set to get its very own indigenous real-time quake monitoring system like the famous US Geological Survey. GSI, or Geological Survey of India, is in the process of setting up an extensive network of integrated seismo-geodetic equipments across 10 locations in India, which will give earthquake data in real time.
We will be able to inform. That is a real-time monitoring of the earthquakes.
Like the USGS?
Like USGS system. So we will be able to say that where earthquake occurs, from which direction, whatever now we are going to study in itself, that we will be tell with the help of our that labs.
GSI is setting up these permanent seismo-geodetic observatories across 10 strategic locations in the country. From Agartala in extreme east, following the contours of northern mountain range, to Andaman in Bay of Bengal, to Nagpur in Maharashtra, these centers are expected to observe, monitor and report quake-related data on real time. The data collected by such observatories will then be interlinked using VSAT and collated at the Data Receiving and Processing Unit or the Nodal Office in Kolkata. Scientists hope this system would be ready by July.
Geological Survey of India is establishing one of important laboratory in Kolkata, which is not in any other departments. I think it will start functioning in July or August.
Once operational, just like the USGS portal, India too would be able to provide earthquake data in real time. So anyone who logs into the GSI portal can get instant information about any tremor across the Indian subcontinent in real time. Such extensive monitoring of earthquakes using these permanent observatories will provide a broader view in earthquake prediction.
So it will be instantaneous?
Yes.
With the intensity and where it has taken place, all those information?
Yes, all those information we can get and we can give to the public.
Will that be shared on some portal, website as well?
Yeah, yes, sir, our website is there. GSI portal is available.
And that will be shared instantly?
Yes, yes.
And this will happen for the first time in India?
Yes. No such lab in India, which we are going to establish.
Every time there is an earthquake across the world or in the Indian subcontinent, the first portal that we go to seek credible information about the magnitude and intensity of the earthquake is the US Geological Survey website, which provides real-time data about any earthquake that takes place across the earth. But things are likely to change very soon, with the Geological Survey of India too coming up with its own indigenous system of real-time earthquake monitoring. The GSI is setting up 10 observatories across the country to provide and collate data that would be linked to the VSAT, and finally the data would be uploaded on the Geological Survey of India website on real time. So next time there's an earthquake across any part of India, one can easily access the GSI website and find out information in real time about the exact magnitude of any earthquake that takes place in this entire region. With camera person Shyam Sundar Ghosh, Indrajit for Headlines Today in Kolkata.
That's all we could pack into this edition of Good News Today. You can send us your feedback, tweet the team at HLT Good News.